All right, let's talk about something that might sound a little complex, but is absolutely crucial for any business today: compliance. We're going to break down two really important controls from the TISAX framework. Now, this is a big deal in the auto industry, but honestly, the principles here can protect pretty much any organization. So let's dive right in.
But first, I want you to just think about this for a second. What's the biggest kind of hidden risk that might be lurking in your company right now? Is it some super sophisticated hacker, a sudden dip in the market, maybe even an employee making a simple mistake? Yeah, it could be any of those. But a lot of the time, the most dangerous risk is something way more basic.
And there it is, non-compliance. It's as simple as that, just failing to follow the rules. And this isn't just about trying to avoid a fine, it's a direct threat to your security, your reputation, everything. I mean, just imagine a supplier who is supposed to encrypt all their clients' design data. It's in the contract, but they overlook it. One server gets breached and boom, a competitor has the designs for next year's flagship product. The fallout is just catastrophic. We're talking lawsuits, lost business, and trust that's been completely shattered. That is the real cost of non-compliance. So how do you stop that from happening? Well, it all starts with a general checkup.
And this brings us right to our first key control. I want you to think of this as the foundation, the bedrock of your company's security and integrity. It's all about answering one big question. Do you actually know, and are you actually following all the rules you're supposed to?
Now, what's so interesting here is that this isn't just my opinion. This is straight from the source. The risk isn't some abstract idea. Failing to comply creates real, tangible security risks. And notice who for, both your customers and your own organization. It's all about protecting real information from very real threats.
So, let's just nail down the definition. Control 7.1.1 is basically about having a system in place to identify and obey every single rule that affects your information security. It doesn't matter if it comes from the government, an industry body, or a client contract. It's the know the rules and follow the rules principle put into action.
So, how do you actually do it? Well, it boils down to three mandatory actions. First, you have to actively determine what all the relevant rules are, and you have to do it regularly. Things change. Second, you have to define and implement really clear policies based on those rules and make sure the right people actually know what they are. And third, you have to protect your records. This ensures your proof of compliance is solid and can't be tampered with. Okay, so now that we've covered the broad rules, let's see how this idea gets way more focused when we start talking about sensitive data. So after looking at that big picture view of general compliance, our next control zooms right in on one of the most critical, most sensitive areas for any business today, and that's personal data. So how exactly are you protecting the private information of your customers, your partners, and your own employees?
And again, the official language here really tells the story. The whole point is to weave the principles of privacy directly into your security practices. This isn't a separate thing. It's about respecting the specific laws and regulations that are designed to protect people's personal, identifiable data.
So here's the crucial point with Control 7.1.2. Data privacy can't be an afterthought. It can't be some separate checklist you run through. It has to be a core, fundamental part of your entire information security system. It really has to be baked into the DNA of how your company handles data.
The must-do actions here are going to look pretty familiar, but with a laser focus specifically on personal data. First, you determine all the specific legal and contractual rules for data privacy. Second, you define clear regulations around them and make sure everyone who handles that data knows exactly what to do. And finally, and this is key, you integrate all these processes directly into your main security management system.
And this slide just illustrates so perfectly how these two controls work hand in hand. You can really think of them as two sides of the exact same security coin. Control 7.1.1 is the broad, wide-angle view. It covers all the rules to make sure your organization as a whole has integrity. Then Control 7.1.2 is the zoom lens. It focuses right in on personal data to protect individual privacy. You absolutely need both. They have to work together to be truly secure.
Okay, so we've looked at the what and the why. Now, let's get really practical and pull all of this together into a straightforward action plan. This is all about taking these abstract rules and making them a concrete reality in your business.
So here it is. This is your unified checklist, combining the essential actions from both controls. You've got to be regularly figuring out the rules, defining and implementing your policies, communicating them clearly, protecting your records, and building data protection into everything you do. And remember, this is not a one-and-done project. It's a continuous cycle. It's about diligence, day in and day out.
And that really brings us to the most important takeaway of all. It is so easy to look at all this and see it as just a chore, bureaucracy, paperwork. But that's absolutely the wrong way to look at it. Proper compliance is a shield. It's a powerful defense that protects your business, it protects your data, and most importantly, it protects the trust that your customers place in you.
So as we wrap things up here, I want to leave you with just one final thought, a question to take back with you to your own organization.
Ask yourself this. Are your policies and procedures just a bunch of documents sitting on a server somewhere to check a box for an audit? Or are they living, breathing practices that are actively protecting your organization every single day? Is your compliance a real, functional shield? Or is it just a paper one, waiting to get torn apart by the first real threat that comes along? The answer to that question could make all the difference.